What's up, everybody? We got another episode of Bleav in Kentucky on the Bleav Podcast Network. My name is Vinny Hardy, and we got a fellow Harlan County in here today, fellow Cumberland Redskin. He's beloved all over Kentucky, but especially from our neck of the woods. I'm talking about none other than Freddie Maggard. Freddie, man, honored to have you on here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. I was starting to think that I wasn't no more on your invite list. I never did get asked to do this. So I was like, man, he's big timing me. So
Oh,
yeah, it's good to be back on.
I'm always afraid to bother you, man. I enjoy hearing
Nah,
you on everything, and I'm like, man, I was like, I don't want to just be bugging them, so I try to lay
no,
back.
no. For you and your family, call me anytime. I'm always available for you. And I loved your dad. You know that, and it was great to see you at his service. And I thought it was a fitting tribute. And you know, just a great man. And so anything for you, anytime, you just let me know.
We appreciate it. We're both sons of two great men. Grew
Yeah,
up in two great shadows, you and your dad as
yeah,
well. And I know Dad thought the world of you. And the words you said on speaking of, I was going to tell everybody what all you do for if people didn't know. But you write for KSR, Kentucky Sports Radio. You host the Depth Chart podcast, and you tributed you did a whole episode like in honor of Dad, you and Nick Roush,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
dedicated that to my dad, and I sent it to my mom and my sister and let them hear it, and just that, man, your kind words, man, just meant a lot, and it was awesome to see you at Dad's service, and just been knowing you since I was a kid, running around in the bleachers watching you play, and Dad always thought the world of you, and we always have, man. And that ain't never gonna change. So
Well, good man. It's good to have you in the business, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud. I'll look at all your stuff and watch it, and I'm proud of you, man. You're doing good stuff.
I
So
appreciate it. Just trying to get better every time. I guess I don't know if that's the
there
right
you
approach.
go.
But that's what I'm trying to do. So real. And I knew you said that I should have been inviting you on here sooner. I knew I wanted to try to reach out to you with fall camp getting rolling, and then we had the quarterback battle, and the dust has finally settled on that with Will Levis being named the quarterback. Did that go how you thought? Did you think Will would come in and just kind of jump to the number one spot, even though he wasn't here for the spring? Did it play out like you thought it would?
I wasn't surprised that Will Levis was named the starter. I was a little taken back how quickly it happened. But if you look at it, Mark Stoops, everybody always says he's a player's coach. Well, he proved that with this situation because Joey Gatewood was third. I mean, after the open practice that I saw, I rated them Levis, Bo Allen, then Joey Gatewood. But Mark Stoops with the timing that gave Joey Gatewood the time to find another team to transfer, get into camp. So I thought it was just a first class move by UK to do it, to make the announcement when it did. And Levis is the guy. I mean, UK is 100% on him. And now we see, them promoting his videos of eating bananas and dancing and all that stuff. So it's brought a lot of excitement to Kentucky football. But it happened earlier, but I'm glad it happened like it did. I did feel that Bo Allen was that number two guy, and it's a great situation for Bo. He's only been there a year, so he can learn. He can go through the game plan, get some run with the ones, and I think it's good for Bo Allen. But with Will Levis, by all indication, is the man, and it's going to be interesting to see how quickly Kentucky. What I want to see, Benny, is how quickly can Kentucky adapt to a different and a quarterback-friendly passing game. Certainly, something that we've not seen in recent years.
Absolutely. Now and definitely want to get your perspective as a QB1, because I've listened to you on Leach Report and Dick Gabriel's show, and get all your insights from there. But eating the overripe banana, that was just a pregame ritual for you, peel and all, right?
Well, I'll give you a true story, Vinny. Uh, one, I can't remember. It was the year I first started, or was the second year I was a starter. I can't remember the exact time, but I kept getting cramps real bad, real bad. And the athletic training staff was working with me, and diet and hydration and all that. So my mom drives from Cumberland, God rest her soul, drives from Cumberland to UK and makes me this concoction of vinegar, of honey, and bananas. And then she wrapped it with, the old paper bags you used to get at grocery stores.
The brown
She
was
had me, yeah, she soaked vinegar in it and had me wrap it around my calves. And then, in true Harlan County wisdom, and you'll appreciate this, she said the most important thing you do to stop cramps is to turn your shoes upside down under your bed when you sleep. Hey, that's Harlan County right there, So
that's the true
yeah.
remedy, true home
Yeah,
remedy.
come on. So she fixed my cramping issues.
That is, yeah, that's it with the vinegar and everything, and that old paper sack, man. You can't go wrong with the old
No,
paper bag at all. Sure
no,
can't.
you can't go wrong.
Uh-oh, did we lose him? Here we go. Yeah, those
Yeah, so that was, the shoes upside down under my bed was the key to fixing my cramp issues.
absolutely.
It worked. I didn't get a cramp rest of the season, so it worked.
So that coaching staff, they didn't know nothing. So just needed some
No, didn't know a
shoes.
thing. Yeah.
And I was enjoying hearing. I think you were on Leach Report with Tom, and you were just talking about your instances as a starter. There were some years where you went into the competition, you won. There were some years where, like Joey Gatewood and Bo Allen, you didn't win.
Yeah.
Looking back, is there anything you would have done different in any of those years? The years you won, the years you didn't, or did you leave it all in the coach's hands when you walked out?
Yeah. I just left it in the coach's hands because, at the end of the day, it's their decision. But you try to force them to not play you, and that's what you have to do. But there are ways that you can play the game of a quarterback competition. Take sure completions. Don't take as many chances downfield. And I did that during the competition because I felt, with their running game, that the least mistakes a quarterback made would be the best thing for our team, instead of trying to throw into coverage, trying to make things happen. But at the end of the day, the coaches just told me to relax and just be me, and that's what I did. And when I lost the competition, I was hurt. I wasn't, I was coming off shoulder surgery, going into my senior year. I wasn't the player that I was before. I had labrum and rotator cuff issues, and back then that was pretty much, you're never going to have the zip that I had before, and I went from first to fourth, on the depth chart, and that was tough, because as a starting quarterback for multiple years, like I was, you take ownership of that team, and then you find a tough life lesson that that's not your team. That is UK's team. And, I had to go do some scout team work, which was fun. But, I looked over at the other field where the starting offense was. I wasn't on that. And, I just wanted to give the defense the best looks that I could give them and try to help the team any way I could. So it was definitely tough as a senior going from first to fourth.
And there wasn't a transfer portal back then, but did that ever enter your mind, or you just it was hard as it was, and were you just always going to say, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to make sure I be a good team player, even though I'm not happy with what's happening?
I just wanted to be there for my teammates. At that point, it was, I could tell that it just wasn't in the cards for me to be the quarterback. And I had shoulder issues. Now, if it would have been different, if this situation had occurred without an injury and my shoulder was still intact and still functionable, I would have probably left UK and played baseball because that, I had that option as well professionally, but that's what I would have done. So, but no, I don't regret the decision to stay. And, I got to spend another semester with my friends, my teammates, and made relationships that lasted the rest of my life. So it's tough. A quarterback competition, there's only one of those on the field. So it's tough when you're not the one.
Exactly. Now Levis is getting all the hype, and he's definitely got to still prove it on the field. But just with your evaluation and your eye and observing, just fill in the blank. He's got the best arm you've seen since, or the best arm talent you've seen since, or the strongest arm you've seen since, and you're feeling.
Man, he's got his arm talent, his arm strength is something that I've not seen in a very long time. I think you got to go past Terry and Steven, Patrick Tolles, Drew Barker. I mean, you got to go way back to find an arm. I think Hartline may be somewhere of a point, but I think Levis's arm is stronger than Hartline. So the ball just jumps out of his hands. It's fun to watch. It's exciting to watch, and he just got a little different zip on the football. I mean, it's just different when he throws. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that we compare him to. But again, I'm on a wait and see kind of trajectory. I want to see that translate to games. And the unfortunate thing is Kentucky is going to be that much better than Louisiana Monroe. It's really not going to show. But I do think that Missouri game is when we're going to see the full playbook of Lincoln and the full abilities of Will Levis and that offense. But at the end of the day, Vinny, I mean, if anything goes wrong, you still got 24 back there, and you still got arguably the best offensive line in the Southeastern Conference. So Kentucky can effectively run the football, which is going to set up the play action pass. I would warn folks that Leon Cohen's offense is not the air raid. I mean, it's going to be 60-40. Hopefully, it's a good percentage of run pass with play action passes and bootlegs. But in order to make that running game even more effective than it has been, he's going to have to open the box up, prevent that extra defender from coming down in the box to stop the run. And you do that by throwing vertical shots over top and by play action passes.
You mentioned 24, Chris Rodriguez back there. A few days ago, he said that the team is kind of moved on. We don't have the vampires on the team that we used to have as far as guys wanting to practice. Did that surprise you hearing that?
Not really, because I mean, Chris Rodriguez is comfortable enough as a leader on that team that he can say that. I mean, he has certainly earned the right to say that. But a team is a 100-person organization. Anytime you get that many people together, you're going to have different sects, different factions or cliques within a group. So, it didn't surprise me, not because I know of any vampires, but I thought it was a good step in the maturation of Chris Rodriguez, where he understands that he's special and he is a player that has a platform to say things like that. Well, if you look at it even further, it could prevent that situation from happening in the future because that has been called out. But it didn't surprise me, but I thought it was a good sign that Chris Rodriguez is comfortable enough to say it.
So even with the culture is continuing to improve since Stoops has been there, but I guess no matter how good the culture is, there's still going to be some bad apples, vampire types, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, again, you get 100 of anybody, you put them together and you're around each other every day and you're working towards a common goal, which is to win football games or to sell tables. I don't know, you just fill in the blank. You're going to have that, and that's just a natural human happening. But I do think that Mark Stoops has established a culture where Chris Rodriguez can call those folks out. Yeah. And I think this is not Chris. You got Josh Paschal who's a leader, fantastic person. Luke Fortner in there, Darren Kennard, Yusuf Corker, a lot of seniors. And to me, the veteran leadership, the veterans on this team is a story for 2021. And it always helps when your leaders are your best players. Now, you can be a leader and you can rah-rah and you can do everything right and only play 5-10 snaps a game. Nobody's going to listen to you. But if you're Chris Rodriguez, if you're Darren Kennard, the All-American, if you're Luke Fortner, the 6th-year All-SEC player, if you're DeAndre Square, who I think is getting ready to have a heck of a year, Josh Paschal, Yusuf Corker, Ty Agent, Devontae Robinson, 6-year guy. You know, if you're that, they're best players or they're leaders, then I think that sets up well for the team.
Absolutely. Now the league, the SEC, the schedule, the defensive coordinators for everybody that Kentucky's going to face. Based off of what we think Liam Cohen's offense is going to do, which defense, which scheme, which team do you think is kind of best suited to match up with what we think Kentucky's going to bring to the table this year? Is it Georgia just because of sheer talent, or is it somebody else because of a scheme? Or
I break the schedule down in segments. Let's go first four. Missouri's defensive coordinator comes as a former head coach and longtime defensive coordinator in the National Football League. I think that's going to be, again, I think the season hinges on the Missouri game. I really do. Because you win that, most likely you can go 4-0 to start the season. So I think Missouri could be a good test for that offense. Then the middle four, LSU with arguably two of the three best cornerbacks, two of the four best corners in the country. And all that talent, that's going to be a good gauge. And then Florida defensively last year, Florida was a mess. Gave up over 30 points a game, couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass, gave up big plays. So we'll see how Florida comes back. And then Georgia with all that talent is going to be a challenge. But another challenge is that 3-3-5 that Mississippi State runs. Gave Kentucky fits last year. I think, Mississippi State, you want to talk about the air raid, Mike Leach and all that. Mississippi State was not a very good football team. Offensively, they averaged less than 4 yards per play and per pass attempt. So it really wasn't effective. But that defense kept Mississippi State in games. And I'm very impressed with Arnett and the Mississippi State. That's going to be a tough matchup on the road. And then the final games, final 5 games, Kentucky should be favored in all those. And there's not a defense on the back end of the schedule that would scare you. Tennessee is dealing with all those transfers out, and who knows what's going on there. New Mexico State's just not very good. Vanderbilt is Vanderbilt. Louisville, improved last year, but they improved in the ACC, which is, not a great conference. So, I would look at Missouri in the first 4. All 4 of the middle 4 are going to have formidable defenses, and then Kentucky should be able to put up some points and maybe, hopefully, go 5-0 to finish the season.
You mentioned Mississippi State, and I'm glad there's the bye. You get your 3-game gauntlet, Florida, Georgia, LSU, and then you get a bye to kind of catch your breath before you have to go out there to Parkville. So I'm glad the bye's there.
Yeah, it's in a perfect position because you're running 7 games there in a row, and that's tough, especially with that middle portion of the schedule with LSU, Florida, and Georgia. That's a tough run for anybody in the country. So yeah, you get through that, you get to take a breath, take a step back, and refocus and regroup and finish out the year strong. But yeah, that's a tough stretch, especially going to Starkville. That's not an easy place to play.
That's it. One thing I forgot to mention that you do, in addition to the podcast and writing, you're also going to be hosting the pregame show.
Yeah.
It's coming fall to be yourself, Cash Daniel, Matt Jones, and Drew Franklin?
And Ryan Lemon. Yeah.
Ryan, okay. Hey, the 606 Mountain Flavor is going to be awesome with you and Cash and Matt. We got Harlan County, Johnson County, Will County. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely bring a little 606 to the show. So it's going to be fun. I always enjoy the pregame shows. Game days for me, I'm amped up. I'm not going to lie to you. I still get that, pregame kind of burst of energy or whatever, however you want to say it. Then after the pregame, you settle down for 2 hours and kickoff, and then by that time I'm just miserable. When the ball's kicked, I am absolutely miserable. I'm horrible to be around during games. So. But pregame shows are fun. That's going to be a good thing. And I enjoy KSR. Our website is doing really, really well with our new partnership with On3 Sports. I think that's beneficial. And then we're churning out position previews. thanks to our friends at La Rosa's, we're pushing those out, and that's exciting. But again, hey, we're 2 days away from high school football.
That's right.
And our first Kroger KSR game of the week is Scott County versus Franklin County, and that should be a good one. There's some good games week 1. So, football season's here, man. I mean, it kicks off in 2 days.
It is. And then September 10th, Louisville Shawnee goes to Jackson County in the
That's right.
game. Oh, that's
yes, yeah. That's that's our bowl game. It's the Kroger KSR Hometown Classic. So we're promoting Kroger's hometown pickup, how you can get groceries at an alternate site throughout Kentucky. Just order them online, and we wanted to do a bowl game or a classic, and what 2 better teams to do that with? And Shawnee's traveling to Jackson County. It's going to be exciting for those players, for those communities, and that was the only choice we had when we were looking at the entire season as far as picking this classic. It's Shawnee at Jackson County, and we're really excited about that.
Because you think, I mean, you and I have been around and traveled, but people from our neck of the woods that have never been to Louisville, vice versa, people from Louisville that have never been to Eastern Kentucky, and these kids get to experience that, and some of them may never have gotten to experience it outside of this.
Well, I mean, I just thinking back when we played in the state championship game during warm-ups, we're trying to focus on the game, and these airplanes, because it's close to the airport, the airplanes are going over really low. We had never seen an airplane that close before. I mean, that blew my mind. It wasn't just we're ready to play in the state championship. It's, man, those airplanes are right there above us, and that way, look at these buildings that are tall. It was crazy. But yeah, it's a lot of fun for those kids and those communities, and we're excited.
And just like you were with the airplanes, the kids from Shawnee, what these curvy mountain roads? What we got to go down this hill like this steep? What So
yeah, absolutely.
We all got his unique perspectives gained both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Now, you guys crack me up too, especially when the football guys host KSR or something like that. Y'all I think you kind of play it up. You play up the fact that, hey, no basketball calls. This is all about football. You play up the football kind of gets disrespected. Is that me imagining that, or y'all do kind of come in with that chip on your shoulder?
No, we come with that chip. Yeah. That's 30 years worth of chip there. Yeah. So I'm 100% there. Yeah. I mean, I'm all for UK basketball. I actually watch the games. I'm all for them and cheer for them and want them to win a national championship every year. But that chip grew from me from when I was in school, because I remember I can't remember who was recruiting me said this. Tennessee, one of the schools that was recruiting me said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Go see where they're sleeping, and then go look where you're going to sleep. I was like, ooh, okay. So that is real. Same with Charles. I mean, but we do have fun with it.
Yeah. So pardon this basketball references I'm gonna make. We'll get it right back to football. But I told you before we started recording, I recorded this podcast with Tony Dutt. We co-hosted for about a year, and he mentioned the fact that he wished he'd been born 10, 15 years later. With the way the game is now, it would have fit his game. You can more freedom to shoot threes. A point guard and a 2 guard are more interchangeable. It's not so much defined roles. He loves what Damian Lillard and those guys do, and he wished he could have kind of played in that era. Had Roger Harden on a few weeks ago, he says, I had to just bring the ball down and throw it to Sky, Bowie, and Turpin. If it came back to me, I could do something with it, but it usually didn't come back to me once I threw it in there. So he would have liked to play in this era too. Would you have liked to have played where, the rules favor the offense and you can throw it all over the yard, or are you content to play in the era that you played in? Does part of you wish you could play in more of what we see now?
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. I mean, most definitely, because our practices were, an hour of inside drill, because we had those running backs. It was get north and south in the run game and throw it when you had to, and just don't make a mistake when you threw the football. So having the new system and the new rules in place where it does favor offense, defensive backs, bless their heart, they cough hard on a receiver, and it's a penalty. And then the quarterbacks are protected now. I mean, that's a new thing as well. When I played, Oliver Barnett and I had a deal worked out, because when we practiced, we were live. Quarterbacks were live. And then Oliver Barnett had the sack record till Josh Allen. We had a deal worked out. He said, okay, if you make me chase you, I'm going to kill you. So, and I was perfectly okay with that. So if he got near me, he grabbed me, I went to the ground because I didn't want him chasing. So, but he told me, if you make me chase you, I'm going to kill you. Yeah. And I never forget. And so, yeah, the protecting of the quarterback, which is a good rule. I think it gets overplayed. I think it's over. It's too much, in my opinion. I think too much responsibilities on the defensive players nowadays not to hit a quarterback in the knees, not hit them in the head. I mean, the window of opportunity for a tackle is so small. I do feel bad for the defensive players.
So when Oliver came through, you just immediately went into Peyton Manning mode.
Yeah, I got in the I went to the ground.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
The other thing too, I heard, I forget what show you're on. You said that even though you had punted in high school and punted at UK, or they asked you to punt at UK, you came in against Mississippi State to punt and were just terrified. Even though you did.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only situation I've ever been scared on a football field. It started out better. I was the emergency punter, and our punter got hurt. I don't know how a punter gets hurt, but our punter got hurt. So they told me to start kicking in that net thing. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. The punt? Yeah. So I got over there, and they gave me a football. I had never done it before. And the first warm-up went about 40 rows into the stands. I missed the net totally, and the ball went up in the stands, and that made me a little nervous. But seriously, man, you sit back there and you have to catch the ball, then you have to kick it. It was nerve-wracking for me. I stared down defenses all day. I mean, I got hit, got sacked. Nothing ever bothered me. But the thought of having to catch the football, then punt it downfield petrified me, especially after I missed the net warming up.
Yeah. I say I ask you that to ask you this. I guess it's hard for you to imagine what these quarterbacks have done, and that's go their whole life without taking a snap on the center. I mean, it's got to be hard for you to imagine. So say you had went your whole life in the shotgun, in the pistol, never under center. Would you be terrified knowing you have to take a snap in a game?
It's definitely new. And there's things in the game that you can simulate in practice, the wet ball drill, where they soak the footballs or squirt them down with water and have to snap that way. But little things like, whoever the center, Luke Fortner's the center, he's going to sweat. So there's going to be, the ball's going to have sweat on it. I mean, it's a total different game. Plus, you got to get back from the line of scrimmage. And, they're taught, we were taught cheat steps and all kinds of other ways to make sure you got away from the trash of pulling guards and all that kind of stuff. So it's totally new for these quarterbacks. Taking drops is new. Also, cadence. I mean, these quarterbacks just clap their hands. They didn't do any cadences before. So it's a bunch of new operation for this Kentucky offense. And, I've been around a long time. I've seen a bunch of coordinators come in, a bunch of new quarterbacks. So I'm kind of holding back on my excitement until I see it in action. But there's just a whole heck of a lot of new with this system. But I think it's got a chance to be good, be real good, actually.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. Kind of flip back to high school real quick because, our Harlan County Black Bears, which that's where we would have went to school if we were in school now. Les Dixon, I think from the boys, 13th region media network, he's got him picked 6th in the region. Does that sit with you, or is that kind of
man, that's pretty low.
That's what I thought.
I guess I can see the prediction because there's a coaching change, but I do know the running back it can return for a additional year of high school, so that's a good sign for him. I think his name's Hopkins, the running back for Harlan County. But I think, having a new coach may have bumped him down a little bit. I just, obviously I'm for Harlan County and everything that they do, but taking a step back and looking at it in big picture, I think it's Corbin and then everybody else. I mean, I think Corbin is that good this year. Got a lot of Travion Longmire's there. So Corbin is going to make a serious run toward the state championship in 4A. But I'm telling you, 4A is loaded. You got Bull County, Franklin County, Johnson Central. I mean, that is a loaded classification. So it's going to be tough for Corbin, but we'll see. I mean, I called all 6 of the state championship games last year because the other person couldn't make it. You know, normally I have 3, but 3 of the 6, but the other person couldn't do it. So I had to do 6 of the 6. And I tell you what, Vinny, high school football, in my opinion, is in the golden era as far as teams. I mean, the teams now are so much better than they used to be. The coaching is tremendous. Players all over the place. I mean, you know, it used to be if you would see maybe 4 or 5 players at a true Division I, you know, and now you're seeing Kentucky sign several in-state players, and then you have a guy like Caleb Perry. It's that Great Crossing going to Tennessee, and Octavius Brown from Lexington Christian Academy going to Virginia. I mean, it's just there's players everywhere, and that comes from coaching and developing these players at a high level. So I think coaching, players, teams, all that combined makes high school football in Kentucky at the highest level it's been since I've been around.
Yeah, it is still going up. It's making strides and continuing to go up. One last thing, man, I got to ask you too. You know, in addition to everything you already do, but you love hearing Coach QB like when he comes on with y'all and y'all just dive into X's and O's.
Yeah,
he's got a morning show with Greg McElroy now. Have you ever thought about doing that? Because you know you would kill it if you had a show with whoever as a co-host and just talk football year round.
I would love to do that, to be honest with you. Nobody's ever asked me. I guess that's the big reason I've never done it.
Yeah.
But Cole's the best, man. You know, he's a friend of mine, and you know, we text back and forth all the time about football. I mean, it's you know, we go back and forth about, hey, what do you see here? Which team, you know, and which players, and you know, some of those texts will be gold for people to find out, you know, of the conversations that we have, because you know, Cole does that, you know, full time, and he's you know, he's more aware of SEC football and more has more film study and things of that nature, where I'm really focused on Kentucky. So, but yeah, that will be fun. But nobody's ever asked me to do that. I know I'm looking forward to being on with Tom Leach on Mondays on the Monday morning quarterback. That's going to be a lot of fun, and you know, just do my thing on KSR. So I tell you, writing is something that I enjoy as well. It's challenging though. Writing is. Radio or what we're doing now is easier because you can just free flow with where in writing, you know, you got to deal with grammar, you got to deal with, you know, all that spell check, and you know, the last thing you want to do is put something out there that's messed up, and trust me, you hear about it. I mean, people wear you out about it if you got a R instead of an is, or you know, apostrophe at a wrong play. I mean, they'll wear you out. So but I enjoy writing, I really do. But yeah, I would think I would like that.
Yeah, well, first, like you said, as far as writing, everybody's an editor, but somebody should ask you, because I mean, get you on 7 to 9, or there's no really living out of state. There's no Kentucky sports stuff after 12. I mean, KSR goes off at 12, and then, you know, 12 to 2, 12 to 3, get you on there. Somebody ought to ask you. That's step one. And I know you kill it. Got to tell you about a sponsor, and I got one last question for you, Freddie. But La Terrain watches have been sponsoring this podcast from day one. They even had Tony Delk endorsing them individually before they sponsored the podcast. But they got whatever kind of watch you got. There's a Red Crest, a Voyager. There's different bands, different accessories. Dave and Ben always continue to put out, you know, fine quality timepieces. They did a 96 championship commemorative watch for the 25th anniversary, you know, for the men's basketball championship with Tony Delk, McCarty, and DA and all those guys. LaTerrain.com, LA-TOURAINE.com. Whether you're casual or where you got to throw on that suit coat and go call a 13th region tournament or state championship football game, you got to have a nice wristwatch to accentuate your outfit. So LawTerrain.com is the place you want to go to get you a good watch, man.
So in Versailles, I mean, I just have to go to the website.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
LA-TOURAINE, LawTerrain.com, and then you
I'll
can
check that out.
check your watches out. Last question, man, because we see Coach Stoops, and since he's been here, we see him continuing to build. He's methodically building. He's building. We see the process. He's not cutting corners. We've seen the program, from year one to now. The progress is unbelievable. When he gets it to the point where we say Mark Stoops has it rolling at Kentucky, or the national media, Stoops has it rolling. When it gets to that point, whether we still in the East and West Division or it's the 14 pods with Oklahoma and Texas, what can you foresee Kentucky consistently doing as far as contending once he gets it rolling where he wants it?
That's a great question. And I think this year with the schedule, it sets up if this year's team stays healthy, this could be a year that you would consider Kentucky rolling. So I think you're going to see that in 2021. I think you stick with what got you there. And the thing to me that sticks out about this Kentucky team is just a tale of progress of how he's developed that program. Where look at the lines of scrimmage. Defensive line, McCall, Pascal going to be draft picks likely, and then a bunch of depth behind them. Offensive line, you got Darrell Rosenthal, who's been graded as a first-round talent, All-American Darren Kennard, and then you got Luke Fortner, who's going to play on Sundays. And that's just the starters. That's not looking at a future of a Jagger Burton or a future, and you got Keontae Goodwin coming in, who's going to be a 3-year player, and he's going to the league. So I think just continuing to sustain the momentum on the line of scrimmage. And then you got to get that quarterback. You have to have a successful quarterback to get the ball downfield before, you got Dane Key on the horizon going to make a decision. And he's a big time player, a 4-star that's a difference maker. I'm not saying I'm not speaking for Dane Key, but I'm speaking for the receivers. You want to see what Will Levis is going to do. You're going to see what this offense is going to do, and that system will recruit itself. So I think you got to maintain that line of scrimmage. And then you push it back. Look at the linebackers: Trevin Wallace, future star. All the linebackers that's been drafted and going to be drafted. Then you look the running back position. Kentucky's always had good running backs. You go back to my day, I think I played with 6 that were in the NFL. And now you got Chris Rodriguez, and behind him you got a bunch of talented guys. So you construct and you focus on that line of scrimmage, which Kentucky has, and you build your team from inside out. And that's what he's done at Kentucky. And now the final hurdle is that quarterback and receiver. You got to have those two positions really to take a next step. Does Kentucky have that on the roster right now? Absolutely. With Josh Ali and Wandale Robinson, it's a good combination. But you gotta have a supporting cast at receiver. I think the move of Isaiah Cummings from wide receiver to tight end is really going to help. He's going to be that guy that can stretch on vertical and seam routes. So again, build it inside out. The rest of it will take place. But as far as perception from the outside, you're always going to be judged on your quarterback. Until Kentucky has a quarterback that wows you, it's going to be hard to take that next step. From all indications, Will Levis is that guy, but we'll wait and see how he does on the game field when it matters against Missouri.
Right. So if everything falls into place, and because fan expectation now is, let's just get to a bowl. That's what it used to be.
Yeah.
Now that target's moving to now you hear Atlanta beat Georgia, Atlanta. If he gets it rolling and keeps it rolling, gets the quarterback in the wow, is it reasonable to say, start finishing consistently top 3 in the conference and then
Yeah.
go to Atlanta every 5-10 years, or is that
Yeah.
what it
I
evolves
think
to?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I really do. I think Kentucky's in a position now. But again, that's why I keep going back to the Missouri game. I mean, you have to stay ahead of Missouri, and that's not going to be easy because Drinkwitz is a heck of a coach, and they got a quarterback, Connor Bazelak, that I think is the absolute dude. So they're going to continue to build. So Kentucky's got to stay ahead of Missouri, ahead of South Carolina, ahead of Tennessee, and then be right there with Georgia, Florida, and knock those teams off every now and then and compete for that East. So that's what you get. Yeah, I always said you have to win the battle of Columbia's. You have to beat South Carolina and Columbia, South Carolina. You have to beat Missouri and Columbia, Missouri. You do that, you got a chance. And so that's why that first 4 games, in my opinion, is so important. You can take those 2 down, put them behind you, and then start climbing towards Georgia, Florida, and then you got Tennessee and Vanderbilt later. So, yeah, I think you have to stay ahead of those programs, and I think Kentucky's built right now to stay ahead of Tennessee, Missouri, or Tennessee and South Carolina. Missouri, I think, is climbing. That's the one that concerns me.
And we remember Stoops' first year, 2-10, took his beating. You got some new coaches in the league. You got Heupel, you got Beamer, you got Vanderbilt. First year coaches go down, beat their brains in like we got our beat in until they kind of get themselves established. So, like you said, keep your fist on them and keep them, their face in the mud, so to speak.
I mean, if you've not gotten your tickets for September the 11th, I mean, that's the season for Kentucky. That game is going to be telling as far as how good is Kentucky. You're going to find out on September the 11th. Now, everybody said, "Well, dude, you can't look past Louisiana Monroe." Yeah, you can. I mean, let's just be honest here. Didn't win a game last year. Louisiana Monroe is arguably one of the worst teams in the country. New coach, Terry Bowden, who I think the world of. Rich Rodriguez, offensive coordinator, who does a real good job. He's wanting to go fast. But the thing about it is, if you look at the first game, Vinny, Rich Rodriguez will want to go fast, but that's good. But if you go 3 and out real quick, then the other team gets the football back. So that one could get ugly in a hurry, in my opinion, is the first game. So I'm looking at Missouri, see what they do opening game, and then get them in here and see what happens.
That's it. You said it's here, and we're excited for it, man. Freddie, thank you so much.
Hey,
man.
Anytime, brother. Let me know.
It's been a blast, and I wasn't trying to big time you at all. That ain't never gonna be the case. So.
All right, man. Sounds good. You call me, and I'll do what I'll be on the show anytime you want.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. It's been another episode of Bleav in Kentucky. Y'all rate, subscribe, give it 5 stars, listen wherever you get your podcast. For my man Freddie Maggard, this is Vinny Hardy. Another episode of Bleav in Kentucky presented by Bet Online. We'll see everybody next week.